Uh, Today I want to talk about defense generals. I have a lot of people asking me just about like they want to get better at PvP. Uh, and I think there's like a few pieces to this. But like first thing is like tacking is a big part of PvP. So like I've made videos on layers. I've made videos on like making gear for a range general. Those are going to be really helpful for the attacking part of it. So I want to talk to you here about defense part of this because, like, I feel like I see a lot of people with they just have a lot of troops, they have a lot of power, but like they get hit by someone with like moderate buffs and they just get rolled. And like the main reason behind this is just because like they don't have good defense generals. Either they haven't really like thought about who they want to use for the defense general, or maybe they have a general there, but they don't have any gear for them, or they don't have good gear for them, or whatever. Um, and let's see, I didn't plan this out perfectly, so I'm just gonna go over to here, and I'm just gonna like look at defenses one. I don't even remember what this what this defense was, but like if we look over here, like we have buffs, right? And my buffs are a little low because my gear's a little weird. I flat buffs. I can talk about that a little bit, but right. The idea here is like these buffs here, they matter, right? They come from your defense general, they come from the gear on your defense general, and they come from research for the most part. And like if you have a bunch of troops and you're not doing good on defenses, it's probably because you haven't worked much on your buffs. And again, those come mostly from your defense general. Uh, let's see. Do I have any like good attacks here? Like here, for example, like I zeroed this guy's keep. He wasn't that big of a keep. My march was probably about 100 million. But like if we go look over here, he at least sort of has worked on his buffs. It looks like he has more range attack buffs. Who's he using as his defense general? Um, he's using Boudica and Leonidas. So I think he has like decent generals. But like maybe he hasn't done a lot working on his gear. Like 2.2 million tells me he's probably using like dragon gear or something. Um, let's see here. Sorry, I was looking for attacks, not defenses. Any other ones I could point out here? Here, I barely lost any power. I took a lot of his power. I took 150 million. If you go look, his buffs are really low. Like his highest one here for his range is 400. These are probably just like the base buffs you get from research. He's probably done very little work on his general. Like looking over here, you can see his power on his defense general is 700,000. Hasn't even broken a million yet. And he's using Shahar, which not a good idea. Don't use Shahar in battlefield. Great general, use it when you're not in battlefield, but just switch it out. So these buffs, they matter, right? These are gonna like make your troops just stronger in general. And like, if you can double your, I don't know, ground troop HP, it's almost like you have twice as many troops. Okay, so the first thing I'll just point out is, hey, we want to win on defenses. You can do research, right? You can do, you want to max this out early anyway, but like you can go through and you can do your range group attack and your siege engine attack, right? All this stuff that just like generically boosts stats. This is when they're attacking, so that wouldn't help. But yeah, any of this stuff that just boosts stats, that's going to help you. In the defense tree, there's a lot of stuff in city troop attack for defending city, in city attack for defending city, right? If you go through here, there's a lot of stuff that will like buff your troops while they're defending. I guess last thing is you go over here, military advance again, like single ground troop HP. We'll ignore that for a moment. Ground troop attack, right? All this stuff is buffing your troops. Generally, it's going to help you on defense. These debuffs also help, right? This debuffs enemy range troop attack. And, range is what you're going to be getting hit with most of the time. So yeah, all this stuff that just generically helps your military is good, right? But it's only going to get you so far. So we need to work on our defense generals. And, see right here, using Shahar, great general. She gives you more resources. It protects more food from troop up creep. Really awesome, but, you know, doesn't help you in battlefield. So I would usually use Oda. And, you know, I'm not going to try to convince you this is the best general pair. I don't know. I think William Marshall is a good general. He buffs the things that you care about. Mounted troops, mounted and ground troops HP are good for you to have, as well as siege engine attack is useful to have. And, like, you know, ranged troop attack right there is fine. It's not bad, but it's not like the most useful thing. I think feel free to let me know in the comments if you want to argue with me about this understanding. But, like, I think mounted troop HP and ground troop HP are useful because you're going to get hit with ranged a lot. And either your cav is going to get destroyed by the ranged troops because ranged are good against cavs. And you just generally want your ground troops to be there so they can help defend against these range attacks. And, like, some people at various points will suggest you ghost all your cavs so that they can't get hit. But, you know, at some point you need to not be able to do that, because if they hit you with a whole bunch of just a big ground march and you don't have any cavs to defend it, then you're kind of screwed. Siege, really useful, just because, like, your siege has a high range. It just sits there and, like, eats away at their troops that are coming at you that, at least, you know, relatively early on in the game, aren't going to be siege marches. So, like, your siege is going to outrange their attacking ranged troops, and you're going to get free hits in. So we need a general pair, right? And, like, in general, we want it to buff ground HP, siege attack, and mounted HP. Oda Sora does this. She gives me ground troops HP and then all troops attack, which seems good to me. But, you know, you could argue with me and tell me this is a bad pairing, and there's probably better ones. I know Boudica is one that I know a lot of bigger players are switching to. I know I have a Boudica in here someplace. She's probably way at the bottom because I haven't done anything with her. Because she buffs ground troops and mounted troops HP and mounted troops attack. And then as you go down, she actually does a lot of really good buffs down here, and you can get her shards from the tavern, right? You can just, like, go spin the tavern, and I'm probably not going to find one, but, like, you can go, sorry, that's not the recruit. You can go over here, and you can just kind of spin for a little bit, and maybe you'll find her, and then you can buy her, and you'll get fragments, and maybe you can ascend her to 5 stars, and she gives a lot when you ascend her. Yeah, anyway. So get a good general pairing. Usually you want to use people that, when general is the main city defense general, they just tend to give more buffs to your troops, like more just total buffs to your troop because they're a defense general. And, like, pair them, and I made a video on general pairing, but make sure that their gold abilities don't conflict with each other. I think skill books, again, you can argue with me on this, but I think siege attack and siege range are definitely the most important ones. You need those somewhere there. Range troop range I put on there. I don't actually know if that's good. Maybe you would rather have, like, a mounted troop HP. And then over here I've got ground defense, ground HP, and ground speed. And again, ground speed, I'm not sure if that's something I want. Maybe that should be mounted speed so that maybe the calves aren't getting as destroyed by ranged troops. Maybe, yeah, I'm not actually exactly sure about that. That's one, if anyone has any advice for me, I'd be curious to hear what they think about that. Okay, and then, so last thing here is you have your defense general here, and, like I'm trying to point out my reports, like, the power of your defense general, it matters, right? The gear you put on your defense general, it matters. And again, I can show you what I use in my defense general. It might be better to use like a mix, like 4 Achaemedi and 2 Ares or something like that. I'm not actually sure. I felt that this 15% minus enemy troop attack was good, but, like, you know, whatever. Basically, I just kind of went down the list, and, like, there's a lot of them that have, if we go to my forge here, there's a lot of gear for Achaemedi gear that just gives, like, in-city something. This one was a bad example for me to use. I think this one has one. In-city range troop attack. I think when I did this initially, I kind of just went through and chose the ones that gave the most in-city stuff. I don't think that's fully true, but like, we can go through together and look at it. I think the one that you do like kind of 100% have to have is this one. Enemy range troop attack minus, really good because you're generally getting attacked by ranged troops more often than not. Siege attack is good. We want that. Like we said earlier, siege is really good in defense because it's getting those free hits in. And then siege attack range, again, as you said earlier, range is good. It gets them firing, getting more free hits in. Let's see. Keep going this way. I chose these boots. As I was getting ready for this video, this might be better. I think I saw the march speed and I was like, yeah, that's bad. But like siege attack, whatever at this point in the game. But like ranged HP and mounted HP, maybe that's better here than ground troop defense and the in-city range attack. I think either of these are defendable. Looking over here at the pants, I think definitely we want these. Siege attack and ground HP, those are two of the most important things. Ranged troop defense, that's just icing on the cake, so you do get hit by ranged a lot. Moving on. Honestly, either of these could probably be good, right? Siege attack and defense, like that is useful to you. Ground troop defense and HP, that's also good. That's something you need. Again, the range attack, nice little bonus, but whatever. Mounted troop defense, again, you're not going to hit by mounted that much, so I think either of these would be okay. It sort of depends how you're trying to make your defense. If you don't have a lot of siege, which, some people don't at this point in the game, maybe it's better to go with buffing your ground troops. And so, like, for the helmet, I think it's an easy Fearless Academy. Right, you get your ground troop and mounted troop HP. We said those are important. You get this mounted troop attack, which is like, yeah, whatever. Can't hurt, right? And then the debuff to the mounted troop attack, whatever. But this does buff two of the things that we care the most about. Going over to here to like your weapons, I think you basically have two legitimate choices. You have the sword or you have the axe. The axe is going to buff your siege attack. It debuffs ground troop HP, which is useful to you. Ground defense, that's icing on the cake. Or you can go over here and let's see, you can buff your ground troops attack, buff your ground troops defense, and down enemy troop attack. I don't know which of these is better. I choose this one. I feel like the siege really does do a lot of work on defense, and like in the end, like the thing you are really trying to max is your siege attack. But like, I think these are all defensible options, and like, maybe at this point in time, it might come down to what materials you actually have. Which actually, that's I think a bad point because these use the same materials, I believe, right? Pearls, dragonstones, ironwood, pearls, dragon. Yeah. Scratch that last point, right? But I'd suggest the axe. I think the sword is defensible, and like you could probably go and like try to put in two pieces of Ares gear instead of some of the more questionable gear. But again, that's your choice. I don't want to make this video forever. And then I'm sure most of you figure this out at this point, but like you get your gear, you have to put stars on it, right? So I don't have any high quality gear, but like if I go over to here to stars, I can pick a gear and I can put a star in it and it increases this percentage right there. This is costing me essentially an inconsequential amount of gold to do, but like obviously if I have a higher quality gear, then it's going to cost me more. Put your stars on it, right? It does significantly increase the percentages of it. And then you got to do refines. And like, refines are one of these things that like, you're not going to have perfect refines overnight unless you like go spend like millions of gems, which, I don't want to do either. But like refines like really do matter on all of your gear, right? If you want your general to be good, that's the kind of icing on the cake that like really like adds that little bit of extra that goes the extra distance. Again, while you're doing this, I think you want to be focusing on siege attack percentage. And then ground troop HP, and like, this is where it gets hard because like, Depends how you're building your keep. So if you look here, these are like pretty good flat refines. I can go over to here, I can hit refine, and I can see that the max is 2924. So this is almost perfect. And this one is pretty good. And this one's lower, but still like pretty high. And I think like the reason why you'd want flats, like a plus a number versus plus a percentage, is you get more out of it when you're dealing with lower troops. So like one strategy you can do for defense is you build a bunch of T1s. I think generally you would want to do T1 ground and T1 mounted. As you can actually see here, I'm working on that. And you build a bunch of flat buffs. And like you can't see those when you scout, right? Like we were looking earlier at these percentages. That's my saved. We're looking over here at these percentages, and I was like, oh, mine are kind of low. But like it's a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit deceptive. Because the flats don't show up here. But like these flats are really good if you have a bunch of T1. And like when I say a bunch of T1, like I scouted someone the other day that had 50 million T1 mounted. Like a lot. Actually, maybe right here. Shout out to Dusty Hoodrat. He's our new king. I scouted him, and let's look over here. He has 52 million T1 mounted and 17 million T1 grounds. I don't know what his refines look like. I can look at his buffs and probably some of these. Like I feel like he probably could have gotten this ground HP a lot higher if he wanted to with refines, but my guess is it's probably a little bit lower because he has flat buffs. I can't see those here. Same thing with this mounted troop HP. This actually feels just like low compared to the other ones in a way that like I bet he was focusing on these flat HPs. Yeah, so doing your refines, I think like siege percent attack important. I here have this mounted troop attack, which I'm gonna stick with because I feel like that's a pretty good roll, and if the goal is to build a bunch of T1 mounted, that's probably a good one to have. Looking over here, like flat ground troop or percent ground troop HP is probably good. It again depends a bit on how you want to build your keep, and then over here, I'm not actually sure. I can here, let me do something really quickly. I can look at the server Discord. I know one of our big players posted what he suggested. Where was it? Was it here? Dang it. I know I read it here someplace. On defense, you've got more options. I believe the general consensus is to go for ground-mounted stats. HP is a more direct impact, but you need both stats completely. Okay, yeah. So basically, you want to have ground HP and mounted. Ground and mounted HP, ground and mounted defense are the important ones. And then for attack, I think you mostly want to be focusing on siege engine percentage. Right, and this refining is something that like you're probably going to do over time. I'd suggest like trying to get one good refine. I said this in another video, but like a good refine would be like 20% or higher on siege attack. And then like if you want, you could spend a few gems trying to get the next one, but like don't go crazy on it. Again, this will come with time. As you can see, like mine are messed up. I don't really want this range troop attack. It's just a good percentage, and like I don't really want to get rid of it. The ground troop attack, again, good percentage, but like I don't care that much about my ground troop attack. The mounted I might keep, just like this one. And like, you know, that's not a good siege engine attack refine even for a flat. Like I would kind of prefer that just be a percentage. My defense are actually, those ones aren't bad. These aren't as bad as I thought. But yeah, mine needs some work too, right? It's not going to happen instantly, but like work on your defense general. It'll make a big difference when you get attacked. And like if you got a bunch of troops and your defenses aren't going well, it's probably because you haven't put the work into your defense general, right? You can kind of tell just by looking at a general. Like if I have, oops, I didn't know I could do that. If I had full Achaemenid gear, 4.5 million approximately power. You can kind of tell just when you like scout someone. Actually, before I talk, can you see the power of their general when you scout? You probably can. You can, yeah, obviously, right there, right? He probably has some Civ gear on his general. You can tell that just because that's more power than mine, who has a bunch of non-Civ gear on him, right? William Marshall Unitas, I'll point that out. That's one that I know a lot of people do use. I think those are both generals you got to spend money for, though. Cool. I hope this was helpful to people. If you are at the point where you are no longer ghosting and you're trying to win defenses, you got to work on your defense general or you're going to have issues. As always, if you have any questions, leave a comment. You can ask me in game. And if you have any advice for me or like any ideas about how I'm setting up my journals, I'm happy to hear it because, this game is hard and I don't know everything either. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.